Hey beautiful souls, welcome back to the Healing Empath. Today's video, we are going to talk about reciprocal energy and how it affects us as empaths. And, what to look out for and how to handle it when we meet someone that isn't reciprocal. This video is going to piggyback off of one of my videos I've done in the past. Back in December, it is called Standards Are Low, Superficiality is High, Depth over Illusion. So if you guys get a chance, you can go and check that video out because it's kind of like piggybacks off of that. But I hope everyone is having a great day. And I hope everyone is doing well, whether it's day or night, whenever you reach this video. But before we get into the topic, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't hit it yet. And thank you to all the people that take the time out to listen to my video. And I pray, and I'm going to continue to pray that these messages that I create are given to the right people that need it at the right time. Okay, so today, again, we're talking about reciprocal energy and non-reciprocal energy and what that kind of looks like for us as empaths. I'm sure you guys understand by now that balance is important when we are looking for partnership, and not just in love, but in everything. Okay, so, all right. If as an unhealthy empath, again, I label myself as an unhealthy, unhealed empath. That's the space that I'm coming from, okay? And I'm inspiring to heal and be a healthy empath. So I'm on the way, okay? I'm on the way. This is why I'm able to push out this content, because if I was completely unhealed and unhealthy, I would not even be attempting to do this. I may attempt to do it, but I won't, push through it. But anyway, if you've ever felt emotionally drained in your relationships, like you're basically pouring out into others, but really getting anything poured back into you. That's that cup that I've mentioned in the past videos that it's not filled. But this message is definitely for you, so stay here. Even if you don't consider yourself an empath and you need a message like this, you can stay, okay? But as an empath, especially, again, if you're an unhealed or unhealthy one like myself, we tend to give deeply, we love deeply, and show up fully in relationships. It doesn't matter the type of relationship it is. But what we don't always realize is that giving without receiving isn't love. It's depletion. It's, drainage. It's everything opposite of what love is. But when it comes to giving and taking and being reciprocal, it's not about keeping score either. Because sometimes people say, well, I don't keep score, I'm just a giving person. But it's not about that. It's just about the energy, right? And when you're an unhealed, unhealthy empath, we're not meant to be empty. We are meant to be full, just like all the other people that tend to be full. Everybody is meant to be full, okay? Not just an empath, not just Joe Sue over there, but anyone, okay? And what that means is basically taking control over your life and surrounding yourself with people who offer balance and reciprocal energy, people who give and they don't just take, right? People who meet us, not leave us in overextending ourselves and our hearts, okay? So you may ask, well, what is reciprocal energy? And if you're not sure, here is one of my definitions. Reciprocal energy is two people or three people, but everything is mutual effort. Okay, you can even, sometimes I do that. I'll start talking about something else, and then it's like only a certain people will catch it, and then we have to drag on the topic. I'm not doing that. So reciprocal energy is mutual effort, and it comes with balance and with other people involved. It's consistent. It's consistent care, right? It's consistent attention, okay? It's emotional availability, not just on your side, but on both sides or on all sides, okay? It doesn't mean everything is always equal every second. Let me say that again. it doesn't mean that everything is equal or always going to be equal every second. But over time, there becomes a balance. There is a flow. There is a nourishment in the relationship, okay? When you're dealing with the unhealthy dynamic, on the other hand, right, it often starts, subtly, right? And that's where many of us miss the signs. Okay, so how does this show up? And the points that I'm going to make here is so you guys can know ahead of time. I'm going to talk about the love department, the friendship department, and your career, work relationships, and your family dynamic. Those are like the main house points. It's like a square if you, make it into a diagram. Okay, so let's get to it. So in love, what does reciprocal energy look like, right? Or unreciprocal. So you're non-reciprocal or you're receiving non-reciprocal energy. So if you meet someone in love, right? If you meet a new person and you go all in, because you like them, they go all in. They're emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You're thoughtful, attentive, and you're present. So naturally you are someone that has your emotional maturity balanced. Your mental health is balanced. Your spirituality is balanced. You're thoughtful, attentive, and present. So there's no need for games coming from you, okay? But the person that you're aligning or trying to align with, it doesn't match your energy. And it doesn't match that energy, okay? So it doesn't match all the things that maybe you've worked on or that you already are. So if you're already a healthy empath, this is something that you already are showing up with in your luggage bag, in your bag, in your suitcase, right? Suitcases are unisex. And if you're showing up emotionally, mentally, spiritually, thoughtful, all those things, healthy in a healthy manner, you show up with your suitcase as soon as you open it. It's very organized. But when you're aligning with someone that it just doesn't match that energy, they let you do all the work, right? They don't initiate. They don't initiate the things that you're initiating. They don't pour into you the way that you pour into them. So the problem that stems to arise when you're an unhealthy empath or unhealed empath, instead of recognizing that the imbalance, or instead of recognizing that red flag early, we tell ourselves, well, maybe they just need time, or, I'm not keeping score, it's not a big deal. I'm a kind person. I like them. We're cool. I don't want to, especially if you've watched my older videos already, and I've talked about this, where it's that feeling of I'm asking for too much, because sometimes an unhealed, unhealthy empath, we don't like to ask for anything. We barely ask for anything. So the bare minimum, and that's another thing. If I see someone is not reciprocal and I barely like to ask for something and I'm noticing they're not reciprocal, then they're not giving you anything, right? If you're noticing that you're not even getting reciprocal energy, because when you're unhealed empath, you're 9 times out of 10, you're afraid to ask, or you don't want to ask for too much. But over time in this love relationship, that imbalance will continue to grow. And eventually it leads to you being frustrated or argumentative or just emotionally drained and exhausted, right? They are going to promise to do better, but that pattern, it just keeps repeating. It repeats. It doesn't stop. So that's what you can identify in pretty much all the categories, but they all show up different. In friendships, let's go to friendships. You're the one that's always checking in. You're always responding quickly, always available. But when you need that same energy, or when you're trying to vent, just like you let your friend vent to you and you're always at air, it's an inconsistent or absent energy. So you basically will be venting. You allow your friends to vent to you for 2-3 hours about the same guy and talk to you about him every day consistently, and you're giving advice or you're just listening. But when you have a problem, they may give you an hour. They may give you 30 minutes, but it's not 3, 4, 5 days. Or if it is 3, 4, 5 days, it's very short time frame. tend to switch off the topic very quickly. Okay. I remember in the past, a while back, a colleague that I once had, I would text her, and I could see at times that she read my text because of the read receipts that come up, but she wouldn't respond. So I just figured, well, maybe she'll get back to me. But sometimes she just reply either days later or just a lot of the times not at all. And this is somebody that I was, wanting to work with. She was wanting to work with me. She actually engaged with me to work with me on different things. And one of the things that I noticed is that she was always active on her social media. And that really stood out to me. And there were more things that stood out. Whenever she reached out to me, I always responded. And if I didn't respond right away, I would always hit her back when I was available to hit her back. And sometimes if I didn't respond right away, she would follow up with me quickly. Like, oh, is something wrong? Or did you, or follow up with a phone call if I didn't answer the text right away. So people know exactly what they're doing. And I even spent time at her home where I saw that she's always on her phone. Well, she always had her phone by her. The phone is always there. So it wasn't about being unavailable with me, right? Because I took it very personal after a while, because I had plans with her. I spoke things and tried to support her in certain things. And I just had to realize that where I fell on her list, it wasn't a priority, even though she wanted to work with me on different projects, right? I became not a priority to her. Once whatever she wanted was fulfilled at the moment, the success of it needed to be worked on, and she did not need me or didn't feel like I was on her priority list, I guess, to communicate with. But, I'm just telling you, that's what imbalance looks like. It's subtle. But it's real, right? When it comes to career or work relationships, okay? Think of yourself as the dependable one, the one who goes above and beyond. You're always there. You always take on extra work. You support others. You show up to the meetings. You show up fully engaged, fully with good energy. But the same support isn't returned. And your effort is expected but not reciprocated. And eventually, what happens when we're at a job? You feel overlooked, undervalued, and drained. You're usually the one that gets thought about last or promoted last. Somebody that didn't show up for work, that doesn't call out, they just take off. Someone that doesn't have good communication skills. They're not answering the phone. Their stats are not great. They're over there promoted while you sit up there and just look in the background about how you were overlooked. And that happens a lot to empaths. It happens a lot to us on the job sites, in the job, okay? Or maybe your manager is just more micromanaging you, but the person that actually needs micromanaging is working free, And maybe because I feel like these people that are micromanagers, they can also be afraid or insecure about themselves, and they don't know how to stand up for something. I have this saying where I say, if you don't stand up for something, you'll fall for anything. So they know that this person isn't their best employee, but this person maybe is a little outspoken, and, and maybe you as an empath is a little bit more, controllable, I'll say, where you can control how you vent off or how you communicate, and you tend to obey, quote unquote. You're not really a nuisance. You do the things you're supposed to do. So that manager may feel more comfortable microing you because they don't have control over the other person. And right now they need that person. So, but usually people like that stay for a while, from my experience. Drop it in the comments if you don't agree, or if you have had a similar example. Okay, so let's keep going. In the family dynamic, you, again, as an empath, unhealed empath, healthy empath, you're the emotional anchor of the family. You're the one that everyone tends to lean on. But when you need support, and this goes for a lot of people that are financially well off, I've seen them suffer with this. When they need support, it's minimized, dismissed, or simply not there. And because it's family, we often tolerate it longer. We excuse it, we normalize it, and we make it to be where you're just not, you just are overlooked. Again, you have that overlooked energy. I forgot, what was I watching, where the wife told the husband, hey babe, I want to just tell you my observation. What will happen if you stop paying for dinner every time we go out? You're the only one. And remember, it's all of the family that comes out. It's 10, 15 of us. Would they ever go in and purchase and make the meal and treat you one day? You get what I'm saying? So, they go out, and he's normally the one that always pays. And this time he tells his family, like, hey guys, I'm not going to be paying the whole bill. And then they all did pay. But then they stopped speaking to the guy. And he was like, and the wife was like, see, they gave him some cold shoulders behind us. And I don't know if it's because they knew like the wife voice was all over it, or because maybe they just thought that he always treats when they go. I don't know what their arrangement really was. And then now all of a sudden he springs it up at the dinner table, instead of saying, hey, you guys want to go out, but I'm not going to pay for everyone this time. So if you want to come, maybe that would have been a lot better, because then the people that didn't show up, you would kind of understand, like, okay. But then again, maybe it was supposed to be done in that time. I don't believe things are always a mistake or taken too far. I think maybe that's what needed to happen for him to open his eye. But yeah, we excuse it, we normalize it. Maybe it's like, oh, well, I have the money, I'm able to do it, I have the time. And then it's just like, no. And when it comes to when you're an unhealthy, unhealed empath, when someone shifts from being reciprocal to non-reciprocal, okay, so if you're dealing with someone who was reciprocal, then it starts to become a confusing feeling. This tends to happen in the unhealthy dynamic of an empath when they deal with the narcissist. Narcissists are known for love bombing. So when I'm going to use this example on how an empath will feel, unhealed empath, by the way, when a narcissist love bombs, okay, it starts to be where you start questioning yourself. They may love bomb you for 8 months, a year, 3 months, 6 months. It doesn't matter. 6 weeks. Who knows? You start to questioning yourself because everything was so good, right? So you start to think that you question yourself and say, did I do something wrong? You ask them, why are you acting funny? What is going on? Did I say anything? Is there something wrong with me? You start to internalize their inconsistency. You start to take it as if you are the problem. Instead of seeing the imbalance for what it is, you turn it inward and begin to doubt your own worth. And that's what an unhealthy empath does, right? Or having unhealthy empathy. It makes you take responsibility for energy that was never yours to carry. That was never yours. So if someone starts to show inconsistent behaviors and energy, it's not your, if you know that you've been showing up and you've been doing the right thing, you didn't do anything specific to anyone negatively in any way, then why would it be your fault? Okay, why would it be your fault, right? And what we need to remember as unhealthy, unhealed empaths is that you personally are not too much. You didn't do anything wrong. You're not asking for too much. You're asking for balance. There's nothing wrong with you. You didn't do anything, okay? What happened was the situation became imbalanced. So there's two things. You can have the reciprocal energy and it turns non-reciprocal after a while, or things start off as reciprocal on both ends and then, Or things start off as you just being the most reciprocal in the situation. You trying to balance it out everything and doing more than what you're being given. Okay? So, again, you're not too much. You're not asking for too much. And there's nothing wrong with wanting balance. There's something wrong with an imbalance. Remember, God isn't the author of confusion. So if we're confused, if there's something that is confusing us, that means it's a no. That means it's not. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. God does not align us in a space where we have to question ourselves a million times and try to figure things out ourselves for other people's behavior. Okay? So as you're healing, or as your healing journey goes and you're shifting forward and you begin to heal, you start noticing these patterns way earlier. Now, again, you notice them from the beginning, but you ignored them. Okay? Because red flags always show up. So you stop ignoring the red flags. You stop overextending yourself to prove your worth. And you stop pouring into people who leave you empty. And you start choosing relationships that feel like peace, that feel like love, that feel like reciprocity, not confusion. Okay? Not imbalance. Okay? You choose people who give, right? You choose people who show up, people who match your energy and not drain it. There's no games here, okay? There's no games at all. Now, before I close this out, I want to talk about what do you need to do when you encounter a non-reciprocal energy, okay? What you can do. So this is a good tip, okay? Get your notepad or write it in a note, some of the points that you can take from it. What happens when you recognize this pattern in someone from the beginning? Your question might be, do you cut them off immediately? Do you keep giving hope and they change? Giving and hoping they change? Do you keep overextending yourself? Okay. Now, I'm good for a good cutoff, but it's not really always about the cutoff, right? It isn't always about the extreme, but it requires that we are aware and attentive and not self-abandoning, okay? So the first step is acknowledgement. Acknowledging that the imbalance is real, and you can find that out in the beginning. But the first step is awareness, right? Acknowledging that there is some type of imbalance, and stop minimizing what you feel. Stop making it like it's not a big deal, or maybe I'm just tripping, right? Stop making excuses for their lack of effort. It's not, because we don't want to jump the gun, right? We don't want to make assumptions, right? But reality is reality, okay? Sometimes things are what they are. There's a difference. Like if somebody isn't being reciprocal at the moment because they're working 50 hours, they can't be reciprocal. They're exhausted, or they are working. They're overwhelmed, right? They can't be reciprocal, right? That's not what I'm talking about, okay? So stop making excuses for their lack of effort. I'm not talking about someone that shows up for you and maybe they don't have a lot right now to be 100% reciprocal like you, I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about clarity of imbalance. Okay. So again, accountability, acknowledgement and awareness, and stop minimizing the things you feel. Stop making excuses for their lack of effort. So anybody that's not putting any effort is the person that I'm talking about. If you feel drained, if you feel overlooked or confused, that is your signal, okay? Healthy connections don't leave you constantly questioning where you stand. That was just me. I felt like this was just me not too long ago. And just not even in a relationship, just in clarity in general from something from the past. All right, now, if you're overgiving, you need to put it on pause. So instead of continuing to pour in more, pause, right? Match their energy. Don't exceed it. And again, I talked about that game plan, but this is not about playing games. It's about you protecting your energy and observing the reality of the connection. And when you stop overextending, you clearly see what they are actually willing to give, especially if they point out that they noticed that you paused some of the things that you were doing. So they're very aware that you are giving, and they're very aware that they're not giving you. Okay. Communicate clearly. Okay. And again, if somebody gives you $100 and you give them $100 the following week, that's not what I'm talking about. Somebody might give you $100 and you might not be able to give them $100, okay? Because things are tight in your house. But you can give them love, support, all those things. That is still called balance. It's not about exactly matching someone's energy 100%. It's about your intention behind it, okay? Somebody might buy you a card from Hallmark, and then when your birthday comes around, they may write you and create a card for you, which is even more meaningful because they didn't really have the resources to go buy you a card. Or maybe they just wanted to do that more heartfelt. So to me, that is more of a balanced situation. It's not about, oh, I gave you $100. Now I need you to give me $100. No, that's not it. So please, if anyone's thinking that, that's not what I mean. Okay, so match their energy, don't exceed it. This isn't about playing games. It's about protecting your energy and observing the reality of the connection. And then when you stop overextending, you're going to really see what they're actually been giving you. Okay. Step number 3 is communicate clearly when appropriate. So if the relationship matters to you, speak up. If it matters, express how you feel without blaming the person or anything. It's like saying, hey, I've noticed I'm often the one always reaching out, or I'm always extending myself, and I really appreciate more balance. What's been going on with you? Are you okay? Is everything all right? And then watch and listen to what they do after you have that conversation with them. Not just what they say, because you've expressed that this bothers you. And if there's nothing really going on and this person has not, become more giving to you, then maybe that is a sign, right? Because real change shows in what? Action, consistency, not just words, not temporary words. Okay, number 4, set boundaries. Boundaries are not punishment. They are protection. This might look like to you not always being immediately available, okay? Not overcommitting your time or energy, and saying no without guilt, okay? The right people will and always respect your boundaries. The wrong people will resist them, and that tells you everything, okay? So again, don't always be available. Don't overcommit your time or energy, and saying no without guilt. But not even just that. Let me tell you something about not immediately being available. You don't need to play a game. This is only for when you pause, when you realize that this person that you've been giving to is overgiving. This is not for anyone that's being reciprocal with you. Okay, so remember, this is only for if you run into someone that is a non-reciprocal, he's a taker or she's a taker. Okay, these are the things that you would do to assess what your next flow in the relationship is going to be like, right? And saying no without guilt. The right people, they're going to respect you. They're going to respect your boundaries. They're going to respect you. The wrong people, they're going to resist you, okay? Number 5, observe patterns, not promises. So many people will say, oh, I'm going to do better and you're right, or whatever it is. But if the behavior does not change, the pattern is your answer. An unhealed empath often holds on to potential. That's what we tend to do. That's our favorite thing to do. We hold on potential instead of reality. So healing requires you to accept what is not what could be. So that means opening and taking off those glasses, those rose-colored glasses, and looking at exactly what's in front of you. Number 6, decide your level of access. Not every situation requires a full cutoff, but it does require adjustment. You have options. You can limit your access to your time and energy. You can emotionally detach. You can shift the relationship to a more distant space. And yet sometimes the healthiest choice is to one of my favorite things to do, for people that deserve it is completely walk away. So that's a complete cutoff. So cutting someone off is not about punishment. It's just about being in alignment with you and your energy, because you matter just like they matter, but you matter, okay? Because this is you that we're talking to. So if someone consistently drains you, disrespects you and your energy, and shows no effort to create balance, then distance may be necessary. But again, if there is mutual care and a willingness to grow, you can allow the space for change with boundaries in place. The key is this: don't stay in spaces that require you to abandon yourself, okay? You are allowed to choose peace over, overextension or over attachment. You're allowed to outgrow dynamics that no longer serve you. You're allowed, and you are allowed to protect your energy without guilt. You are allowed to say no if that's what you want to say, because the right relationships won't require you to feel empty to keep them, right? You don't need to feel empty to keep people in your life. I remember doing that. Before. I felt so empty in a relationship years ago, and I overextended myself. I can't believe I did that. But, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you anything if I didn't experience it. But yeah, I definitely overextended myself. And sometimes I got into this. I remember dating this one guy, and I felt very jittery around him. I felt like he was going to leave. I felt like he was going to leave out the door fast. That's an abandoned wound. When you feel like somebody's going to rush out and leave and they're not here for a long time, just for a good time, your body can feel it. So I even knew in myself, I'm like, why am I acting like this? And it's because I knew this wasn't going to last. I just knew it wasn't going to last. And I just felt not jittery and weird, but jittery in my energy. Like I wasn't my relaxed self. I wasn't who I truly am, because I was feeling that he was not going to stick around, and I wanted him to stick around. But, that was a red flag that I felt, and I kind of ignored it and just went with it. And at the end of the day, I ended up not being with him anyway. So it is what it is, right? But, again, the right relationships will never require you to feel completely empty to keep them, feeling like you're overextending yourself and being a people pleaser to these people. So just remember, guys, I'm going to close this out. I do have more videos in store. I'm trying to not drain the time, but sometimes I end up doing it. But I don't, again, it's not an apology. Like, I'm really sorry specifically to anyone. It's just, I have so much to talk about. And hopefully my messages are giving you guys what you need them to give you. And for those of you that want to engage more on this conversation, feel free to drop a comment. I definitely will respond. But remember, before we close out, that reciprocal energy is not just something that you need to deserve, okay? It's not a luxury. It's a necessary thing to have in your life. A necessity. It's a necessity, because you deserve to feel full just like the other person deserves to feel full. You deserve to feel seen just like the other person deserves to feel seen. You deserve relationships that pour into you as much as you pour into them. And the moment you truly understand that, everything begins to change in a great way for you. And I said this before, I knew the difference once I got married when it comes to a man that is interested in moving further with you. Even though I'm divorced and I made that choice to be divorced, you can tell a difference when you're in a relationship with someone if they actually want to move forward with you by their actions versus them not wanting it. So I say this to say everything else I said. When it comes to any relationship, if, I hope that, you believe in the Most High, but I'm not here to tell you what to do or how have your faith. But I believe in God, and I believe that you are supposed to keep him centered. You keep the Most High centered in your life, in every area of your life, not just for the things that you get good, but the things that you need to learn from. And, and then you'll get more clarity once you have that great relationship with God. But anyway, I don't want to steer off this topic. Thank you guys for tuning in. And if you have any questions, again, please drop a comment, like the video, subscribe to the video, and don't forget to turn your notifications on for my future videos. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night whenever this video catches you. And until next time, my friends and my beautiful souls, ciao.